Hey everybody, welcome to this week's Pull Wisely, where we will be reviewing one of our favorite comics of the week, as well as giving you recommendations as to some other stuff you should be picking up at your local comic shop this week. I'm Teresa Giacino.
I'm Jessica Lachenal.
We did listen to your feedback from the last video. We're going to try to give you more of the kind of comics coverage you want, so thank you for that. So at the end of this video, we will be doing our top 5 list of comics that we think you should be checking out this week, give you some more recommendations to work with. But for now, we're going to dive into our conversation about Jem and the Holograms Annual number 1, which is out this week from IDW.
The basic premise is the entire band is exhausted from an amazing show, apparently, and they're all sitting down for... I guess a bit of Netflix, and hanging out, and they all kind of end up falling asleep, and they each have dreams that are based on the movies that they requested, and basically each member of the band has a different dream that is actually drawn and written by a different artist, writer, team. But it's great because it features all this different talent and all these kind of great stories and everything.
The entire issue was written by Jem and the Holograms writer Kelly Thompson, but the different artists were really what kind of make this issue special and interesting. So yeah, let's get down to it. So the framing story I thought was really, really cute, and it really kind of showed me how young these girls really are. I don't know if maybe it's just me remembering the cartoon and having watched the cartoon when I was a kid, and so Jem and the Holograms seemed like so much older and so much cooler than me, but I remember them feeling very adult. But when I read this, it's very clear that they're young. I mean, they're not teenagers, but they're clearly early 20s and very youthful. I don't know if you had the same...
I think it was a matter of me feeling like I'm getting older and them kind of never changing. You get the same feeling with The Simpsons, so it's like, oh... In a small way, this feels timeless. I kind of am understanding them from a different perspective in my own life, and it's like, oh, that's really interesting to think about.
As you said in the beginning, they kind of get back after a show, and they're exhausted, and as they're kind of collapsing on the couch wanting to watch something, it just struck me how, like, a lot is happening to them very fast. Right. And at a point in their lives when the average person has a lot going on. Just being in your 20s is rough to begin with, and then to throw on top of that worldwide fame and accolades and being in a band, it's a lot.
Oh yeah, it's daunting. I can only imagine.
But I do love the device of them kind of having different movie dreams, which is funny because Jem is obviously based on a show, and so the fact that they went movies and not television shows when this was kind of so clearly a TV device was interesting.
Yeah, it really was. I'm glad that they went with it, and I'm glad that a lot of the things that they chose actually worked for different times, if that makes any sense.
Let's start with Jem Wolf. Yeah, I definitely like the device of the werewolf kind of symbolizing her transformation with synergy.
Right.
I thought that was really cool. I have to say, though, that while, Ariel Jovianos is a great artist in her own right, certainly, I did find myself missing Sophie Campbell throughout all of this. In this annual, I kind of realized how important her art has been in relation to my enjoyment of Jem as an ongoing comic. And I think that certain of the styles of the other artists, kind of complement the story as well as Campbell's work does. But I have to say that for Jem Wolf, I kind of found the art style a little bit off. And it didn't for me capture the characters, the look and the feel of them as well as maybe some of the others. But I did love the story part of that one, certainly.
Oh yeah, totally agreed. I think I felt a lot of the same way, but I might not have been acknowledging it because I was thinking too much about the story. But you're right. Looking at it again, it's a very different style. It definitely tries to capture a lot of it, and it succeeds in some ways. It's just very, very distinct.
Angry Aja, which is of course a take on Mad Max. was really cool, and I loved the artwork by Rebecca Isaacs. I thought that it kind of made the characters look the way they would look if Sophie Campbell's characters were actual, like, real-life people. It made me kind of see them in real life, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. It definitely brought a different kind of edge to the character, and in some strange way, it was like, when you're dreaming, you don't really... It's just kind of idealized version of yourself, right? It's like, this is literally them dreaming in a different style, you know, themselves in a different way. The art style in this one is definitely something that struck me too. You were mentioning, like, it's gave you the sense of what they would be like if they were real people and everything, and this one definitely nailed it for me too.
And the story was cute too.
Oh, it absolutely was.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, with a lot of these stories, the color keys actually match the characters' colors. There's in Gem Wolf, there's a lot of purples, a lot of, like, kind of bright yellows and things like that, and then you've got Angry Aja, and it's this blue sky that totally matches her hair and her makeup.
Yeah. And
you've got this other, like, contrast with the ground and all that stuff, and it's really kind of striking that a lot of the stories here, if not all of them, pretty much have the same kind of color key. So it subconsciously gets you to associate these things with these characters.
Yeah, no, that's actually a great point. Oh, before we move on, I totally realized that I just forgot one of the stories and artists when I was listing them before. There is a Star Wars themed story in here as well called Shana Wars, or Shana Wars, and that one is drawn by Jen Bartel. So I left her out of the list I said earlier, so sorry about that. We love you. Please don't hate me. But what I thought was interesting, and I think in the beginning, in the framing story Wired, when they're all kind of arguing about what to watch, it was interesting that they all kind of pick their favorite type of movie. Mm-hmm. Like, one of them says sci-fi, and one of them says, you know, comedy, one of them says whatever. And Shayna picks fantasy. Yeah. And so, of course, her film is Star Wars. So I thought it was interesting that each of these, you know, also kind of aligns with each girl's taste, as well as kind of what's going on with her in her head.
Absolutely. And
now we get to Gem Babies, which I think was my favorite story, not only because it references Muppet Babies, which was one of my favorite cartoons growing up, even more of a favorite than Gem, don't tell anybody, but it also includes the Misfits, which, you know, was cool to see, and including them as babies is kind of appropriate.
Oh, it totally was. I mean, this is just the most adorable comic. Like, I just gushed the entire time, like, oh, really? Like, it was just too cute, this entire thing. And, yeah, like, bringing in the Misfits was just a great move on their part.
And I also love the stuff between little baby Kimber and little baby Stormer, when they're bonding over the kitten, and you see, like, little hearts. I was seeing that, and I was like, oh, that's, like, it kind of... You know, my privilege was showing, because I kind of looked at that, and my first gut instinct was like, whoa, but they're supposed to be babies. What are they doing, you know, having a lesbian relationship and being in love as babies? And then I'm like, wait a minute, check yourself, girl, because, like, Miss Piggy and Kermit were all up on each other.
Right?
In Muppet Babies. Like, what's wrong with you, Teresa? Your privilege slip is showing. Aww. So I'll firmly admit that. And I was like... That's stupid, and they're adorable, and they have a kitten. Shut up.
Yeah.
So
there's nothing to love here. They've got the trifecta going on. You know what I mean?
It's true, and they're so adorable, and I love them in the comic. Like, those two characters are my favorite, pretty much. Oh. And I love Stormer because she's a big girl like me. So I was like, yes.
I feel that.
Rocking it out for the big girls.
I feel that.
So now, overall, Jessica, what did you think about the book as a whole, and whether or not people should pick it up?
The book as a whole, it's definitely one that I would strongly suggest picking up. If you even tangentially like Gem and the Holograms, it's fun because it's accessible, which I think we had a bit of an issue with last week with Nick Fury S.H.I.E.L.D. The one-off there, it wasn't accessible. This one is very pop culture reference heavy, so there's something to appreciate with everything. It's also a great kind of display of a bunch of different artists' talent, which I think is, you know, something that often gets unsung, let's be honest. So yes, it's definitely a great issue, that one you should pick up.
Definitely. I mean, I agree. It's Gem and the Holograms' first annual, and I think they did a great job, especially for a first time out. I do love that it's an all-female team, art team. You know, like Jessica said, we get to see all of their talents. Even though I was talking about, you know, missing Miss Sophie Campbell, and the fact that we do have so much talent on display is really awesome, and it definitely kind of inspired me to check out some of the artists' other work as well. And it's certainly, you know, it's an oversized issue. It's like 40-something pages. You'll just read this and have a good time. So definitely pick that up. That is our kind of spotlight piece for this week. But we did want to give you some other options in case you're at the comic shop and you want to pick up more than one thing, which you probably do. So we've assembled a top 5 for you. So here is our top 5. First one this week is Sandman number 6. Written, of course, by Neil Gaiman, with art by J.H. Williams III, who, of course, was the artist on the New 52 Batwoman, which we love. Sandman 6 is the finale of the 6-part prequel comic to Sandman. So this is the wrap-up of that story, so you should definitely check that out.
Number 2, we've got They're Not Like Us. The writer is Eric Stephenson, with art by Simon Gain. I've really been enjoying They're Not Like Us, and the story has had its sticking points and a bit of wandering, and I guess at this point the exposition is over and action is starting to really ramp up. So if you've been keeping up at all, if you've enjoyed any of Simon Gain's actual art style, which is just incredibly fantastic, I definitely suggest that you pick this one up.
Number 3 is Cavalry, the 50th anniversary Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Issue number 1. It's the one-shot featuring Agent May. It's written by Jody Houser, who's one of my favorite comics writers, and with art by Luke Ross. Obviously, you know, we talked about Fury last week. This is the continuation of that 50th anniversary celebration of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And Agent May is one of the characters that was created specifically for the show. So I'm curious as to what they're going to be doing with her and how they're going to bring her into the comics universe. So definitely check that out if you're a fan of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Number 4, I've got Bee and Puppycat number 9. Writer and artist Natasha Allegri, the incredibly talented and illustrious. I mean, it's Bee and Puppycat. Anytime I get to spend in the world of Bee and Puppycat is time well spent. There's no like major overarching stories to really speak of in this one, I don't think. But it's just Bee and Puppycat. Like, come on, really. And if you Google it right now and you look at the cover, like, that thing is worthy of framing, and I'll be honest, that's a strong reason for why I'm picking this up. So give it a shot.
Nice. I love it. Number 5 is Doctor Who, the 11th Doctor, Year 2, number 1. I know that's a lot of information. And if you love the 11th Doctor like I do, he's kind of my doctor right now. This is the beginning of a new year of adventures with the 11th Doctor. So if you're looking for a good jumping on point with the Titan Comics Doctor Who titles, this would be a great place to start. So check out Doctor Who 11th Doctor Year 2 Issue 1. There's a lot of variety this week, so lots to choose from, lots to pick up. We'd love to hear what you're reading as well.
If you are tweeting at us, please remember to use the hashtag #PollWisely so that we can find you and talk to you.
Definitely.
Talk at you, maybe.
Talk at you, to you, around you. But definitely keep your comments coming. We want to make this something that you enjoy. We'll also be putting all of our recommendations in the post so that you have a quick at-a-glance list of those picks. If you don't have time for a video, if you're at work and have to be all clandestine about your video watching. But in the meantime, get to the comic shop and don't forget to pull wisely.
See you next time.